It is day 3 at Manu Paradise Lodge. It is the morning. I woke up this morning at about 5 o'clock in the morning, just before sunrise, and saw bats flying over my cabin. It's possible that they are either roosting in the cabin or just flying over. I told the bat people, so they might set up a net to see if we can collect them and see who they are. This morning was a little bit chaotic with figuring out the schedule between everybody, with the bird team, the bat team, and I didn't even actually talk to the mammal team. But I scheduled it so that today Elle is going out to the field to dig more traps. Unfortunately, I don't have any photo or video of them doing that because I haven't been going with them, but it's really arduous work because the soil here is really hard. One of the places they went, Elle said that the humus was really thick, and so it was softer. But they're getting along with everybody because everyone appreciates someone who works hard and likes to work hard, and Elle loves hard labor. So they're taking to this quite well. I think I've said this before, but I've gotten along with every single person here. And I am a neuroatypical person. And I really don't like socializing, and I usually struggle with it. But every single person here are, they're biologists, ecologists, they love nature and science and being out here and contributing to the planet and research. And they're my people, and I want to be best friends with all of them forever. I like them so much. I love working with them. Yesterday, Beatrice, she tends to lead the groups in the bat team. She works at the Field Museum of Natural History and is from Brazil originally. She is a doctoral student. Yesterday, she gave me a lesson on bats and lent me a dichotomous key. She gave me a dichotomous key in English and Spanish and lent me a book to study. Tonight, we're going to sample bats at the nest site that's here at this location, which is 2,500 meters. And then tomorrow morning, there will be much fewer bats here because we're higher. So we don't even know if we'll catch them. So hopefully we will. And then tomorrow morning, so tonight I'm going for a partial trip. So normally you go at 4 and you come back at like midnight. And there is another scientist, Emily, whom I love. She is studying how a species of frugivorous bats, fruit-eating bats, communicate with each other. So she's doing an echolocation communication study, which of course I'm super interested in. But she also has some physical ailments like me. I'm hypermobile and I have some limitations. But she is leaving early at 10 and offered for me to join her, which is great because I'll go out at 4. I'll work for 5 or 6 hours. Yeah, and then come back, and then I can go to sleep. And in the morning, I'm at 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to join the bird team with Manu, who runs the bird team. And I don't know who else is going to be on the team. Possibly Marky. Marky's amazing. She knows everything about birds. Right now she's looking at the ant pitas, which I was supposed to join, but I missed because I was working. But I'm going to join them for sampling birds. And they're going to teach me everything they can. So Manu said that they can teach me how to take the birds out of the nets, how to hold them. I have taken birds out of the net and held them once before in school in ornithology. And I did, this is the bird bander's hold, and then this is the photographer's hold. I've done those two. But when you're holding, and I can't tell you how, because it's unethical to share how to hold birds unless you're trained. It's very dangerous for the public to know, because you can really easily hurt them. If you hold them wrong, you can make it so they can't breathe, or you could break them or break their wings. But they'll be teaching me, hopefully, how to handle hummingbirds, which you handle differently, and then larger birds are more difficult, and each species is different. For instance, the ant pitas, they have these really long legs, and they look like little balls almost. They very rarely fly. They just hop around. They eat insects, and when you hold them and they're trying to escape, instead of flapping their wings like all the other birds do, they kick their legs ah! And then they hop and run away. Okay, so tomorrow 5 a.m. until about 10, we're going to sample at a few sites and then come back, have lunch. And I might be back in time to help process specimens of bats in the lab before lunch. and then have lunch. And then after lunch, I'm going to observe how they process the birds in the bird team. Most of them, they release most of the birds. So mostly they're banding them. So they put a little ID tag on their leg and then let them go away, which is better because the keeping the bats for specimens is very sad. And it's the hardest thing for all of us. But they do keep a couple of them for museum specimens. Manu told me that making the specimens is more difficult with birds than with bats. And so it's not likely that I will make one myself, but I'm going to observe a couple times and learn. And if they have a bird that they have like a lot of, or that isn't really relevant, that happens to be there, then they might let me do that. And then that is my whole schedule. Right now I'm going back to the lab. I'm going to help process some tissue with, I don't know who's there, probably Farah. I love Farah. I love everybody. Okay, that's it for today. Here's a view of my going. This is the lab. That's the bathroom. I just walked down from here, from the little diner lodge. There's birds everywhere. And I showed in a video on Instagram, but this is the lab. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you a video of the lab. I can't share anything that's scientific without approval from the museum, so I'm just showing you things outside of labs and stuff. But this way goes to the El Mirador, which is a lookout. And so you can go look at birds here. I haven't actually done it yet. I just got here and took a look, but I was working. We had to reprocess some tissue for DNA. A lot of it took us, I think I was doing it for 5 hours, but it was great work. I love it. It wasn't until hour 5 that I was tired. But this is the lookout. And sometimes the clouds roll in and just cover the whole area. I saw a flock of birds this morning, but I didn't have my binoculars or camera. But I think they were blue. I have seen, this morning I saw a toucan, Peruvian toucan, and I saw parrots yesterday. I've seen so many amazing birds. I've been taking photos, and I won't be able to edit any of them to share with you guys until I come home. But this is my update for today. I am the happiest person in the whole world. Oh, and I presented my art last night. So Anderson first did a presentation, which was incredible. It was all in Spanish, and I understood most of it. Sometimes he has a bit of a Brazilian Portuguese accent because he's from there, and sometimes it's hard to understand. And if there's any noise in the room, it's harder for me to understand. But I understood a lot of it, and it was I read all the papers that he was referring to, so that helped. So I knew what the context was. I knew the conclusions he was saying, and I'm familiar with the work at this point, of course. But watching the presentation was so inspiring, seeing what he's been doing across different continents and how he's trying to really, the work he's doing is to really help, with how, find out what's happening with climate change and to help. He's doing really good work. He's wonderful. He's wonderful. And then afterwards, I did a presentation with my art because most people didn't know who I am or why I'm here. And I did the I found out late when it was going to be, so I had like an hour to make the presentation with really bad Wi-Fi. So it was quick, but I intended originally, I'm just going to stand in the shade. I intended to do the presentation in English and a little bit in Spanish. I ended up doing most of it in Spanish, and then breaking for English. I had intended to ask someone to translate for me anytime that I couldn't translate into Spanish, and I forgot to, which I feel bad about because there's some people who are here who don't speak much English. And all of the announcements and stuff are all in Spanish. And then if you have questions, you can ask. And I'm following along pretty well. I'm translating for people too, which is nice. But I did most of it in Spanish, and then the questions I answered all in English. And it was really wonderful, and it was really well received. And I've spoken to people independently, talking about my work and what I'm doing, and telling them what I'm doing here is I'm learning about the work you're doing. My job right now is focusing on bats, but I'd also like to do similar work with birds, of course. So I've been explaining to them, I need to research and understand the material so that I can create the artwork with the numbers and equations that they themselves calculate and create in this expedition. And then I create drawings that can communicate with the public in ways that can help educate them and help improve the perception of bats, to help people love them enough to protect them, which of course they all love. And I explained to them that, I've been learning about bats, but I'm still very new to it, and there's so much to learn. So I asked them to be generous with me and just teach me all their specialties, teach me about bats in any way that they can add to it. And people ask, what data are you going to use? And I'm like, well, that's actually what I need you guys to tell me. So I have some ideas, but I need you to tell me what data communicates what is important, what can communicate what's happening to the bats. How do you measure diversity? How do you measure changes? How do you measure distribution changes for the population? What indexes do you use? What equations do you use? What measurements do you use? What do they say to you? And so and I told them anyone who wants to work with me later will exchange information, and we'll communicate over email and phone and Zoom to help me, navigate the data and create the artwork. I forgot to tell them that I plan on sending them all prints, although it's going to be hard to send prints to Peru, and a lot of people live here. And I also told them that I want to do a similar thing, so I'm creating 6 pieces, probably one historical drawing based on the historical data from 25 years ago, one drawing based on the new data, and then 4 pieces based on functional groups. So showing a pollinator and its flower, a frugivore and its fruit, an insectivore and its moth, and things like that to show the the characters here that need to be protected and what service they offer for the community. And then we're going to show it at the Climate Action Museum in Chicago with Amanda and the team, and the scientists are going to share with the public what they found and explain to them the science of what's happening and how climate change is affecting it. And then I'm going to do a presentation where I explain how I make my art and what my experience was and what the pieces mean. And we're going to be auctioning off 2 of the pieces that haven't been pre-sold, and using a portion of the funds to raise money for conservation or research, which Amanda has figured out, I think, where it's going, but I don't know yet. And I told them that I want to do a similar thing with birds, and Anderson's like, no rats, so also with small mammals. And so I'm trying to collect a group of people to work with in the future. So it's like anyone from the bird team and the mammal team, small mammal team, communicate with me, and we can create a network so I can do this again, but with birds. And it was wonderful. And I'm happy, and I'm fulfilled, and I'm learning so much. And I was worried that I'd be in the way, but I feel okay. And I feel I'm overjoyed. I could spend a lifetime out here. All right. Thank you, everybody, again, for helping me be here. I can't even tell you. It's the coolest thing ever. Okay, bye.